You've possibly heard of Fury before, and you've possibly seen a Fury speedrun, but now, this time I'm going to do a Furier speedrun, which is basically the same except it's harder, and there are 2 more bosses right at the end who are possibly harder than everything else. The reason I'm saying all this right now before I'm starting the game is just because the first boss is very hectic. So with that out of the way, I will start. First boss is the Chain, and he's the easiest boss to normally, but he has this weird habit of teleporting around, which makes him a lot harder on Furier. It's not so in the first phase. But just like in normal Fury, you want to just keep him to the edge so you can get time to charge your sword in these phases. This second phase is close to my least favourite thing in the entire run, just because you're required to block these shots precisely like that to get the most out of him, otherwise he'll teleport like that and you'll lose a lot of time. And because of that, it's hard to keep him away from the middle. I've kind of messed up. It's okay.
You're gonna take some putting back together when I'm done with you.
This first phase is pretty annoying as well. Because while you want to keep him to the edge, he also has a habit of teleporting away from the edge, and there's not much you can do about it. Fortunately, I got lucky this time. And that went pretty nice. So now, in Fury, a lot of the bosses will end their fights with a desperation phase, which is just a bullet hell really. And when you're playing Fury normally, these are not really a problem, they're pretty easy. Once you go into Furier mode, they really pull out all the stops a lot of the time. This one is okay really, but the biggest problem will be effectively timing the end of it, because you want to be able to dash to the back of the stage as soon as possible, but the timing isn't quite as nice as in Fury mode. So that was close to perfect. Now here, he goes really fast with these attacks. And that's the first boss down. 11 to go. Next up is the Strap, who is pretty similar to how she is in Fury mode, except a bit faster and gives you less time to hit her. Still, this is the same as you do in Fury mode. You use these panels to direct her and get the easy kill. This is a really precise timing there, because her laser's pretty fast. So again, use more of these panels to direct her so you can get some easy damage in. You have to wait a little longer before you're allowed to attack her there. Now she's getting angry, so she frees her arms, and now she can attack you with a scythe. And because this is Fury mode, she loves to just run away out of nowhere. That attack's quite annoying. This is pretty much the same as on Fury mode, except it's a little faster. I'm actually glad I missed that because it was awkward. So here's an important skip in the thing, which you do in Fury mode as well, and it's no harder here. But now she's freeing herself, and she's going to try to run away from you, but not if you can help it. So I've just caught her and stopped her from running away, and now I can freely just end this phase without any effort. Also, a nice thing about the Stripe is that in her close combat phases, her attacks take a bit longer, so you don't always have to have her up against the wall. And now, despite what I just said in the last fight about these phases being harder, this one's almost easier here, just because the bullets are much less random. I always know they're going to go in this pattern, so I can just do this back and forth over and over again. Not that it was never hard before, but I'm not putting much effort in. This bit is a bit harder. She has a large laser, which can be a bit difficult to dodge if you're not used to dodging it. But then she just unleashes these out of nowhere after every single flick of the laser. But now she's going to do one last set of lasers and the fight will be over. They're also easy to dodge. Now we come to possibly the hardest part of the fight, which is the first phase of the line. He has these large barriers which actually have less health than they did in Fury mode, but have all these bullets that fly everywhere. Mess you up completely. Oh, I'm gonna be careful now, I'm almost dead. Oh, I am dead. Yeah, it's very easy to take a lot of damage here. But dying isn't too bad a problem, I guess. So it's hard to really optimize the strategy in this one, just because these bullets don't allow you to set up your shots properly. I got a quick moment there where I was able to shoot a quick shot in after my shot that blew open the shield, so I didn't have to wait for it to come around again. That was pretty good. Now he's on this pillar and I just have to damage that instead of him. You can use a bit of damage boosting here because if you get hit by those balls instead of the waves, you don't lose any time really, and you still get to keep shooting him. Now I'm just going to take the easy way here. Oh no, never mind. Do it this way. Yeah, he does not give much room to breathe in those phases, as you can see by the size of the attacks he was using. So that was an interesting thing where he had this layer of shots blocking him, but if I could move close enough, they're no longer in the way, so I could still do damage. This is the worst RNG here. I can do nothing but wait for him to finish that attack. And I need to... I'm trying to get him to come closer to the wall. I'm just going to do this. This is what happens when you do a perfect parry. You lock them into these attacks, which are almost always too slow to bother using. I'm just knocking him down so I can get an easy quick kill in this next bit, because now I can just go behind him. Bam. Now for this last phase, this is actually the only fight in the entire game that I've not managed to beat without getting hit once. It is largely because of this phase, which has all sorts of homing missiles, these huge waves. I might have been able to get through this once without getting hit, but not the entire fight. I only got hit once, that's fine. So now, this is the ultimate bullet hell, because there are going to be bullets everywhere. By using larger charge shots, I can slightly mitigate that because they both take out bullets out of the way and they don't produce as many bullets. Depending on like how risky I want to play it, is depending on how often I'll do it. I've got plenty of health here, so it's not so bad. Now I have to be slightly careful because I'm one wave away from dying. Now it should be good. So now I'm just waiting for him to come back so I can finish him off. So yeah, I lost 50 seconds on my record just because of that first phase, really. Now, we enter the troll part of the game because the scale is always a troll. He just loves to move in ways you don't expect, give RNG you don't expect, and just be an alright nuisance. That time he did what I expected him to do, which was nice of him. So he has a lot of laser attacks, which are actually quite formidable when you're playing this casually, until you realise you can parry them. It's just never have to worry about them. Otherwise there'd be just attacks all over the screen. I didn't knock him to the edge, so I had to do that little quick combo there. There's very small windows for you to dodge there. That was really bad. Like, you could actually, if I did it perfectly, I could have finished him off by then, but nope. That worked out though. When you land perfect parries, you're able to get more damage out. I'm worried I just took too long in this phase, which means he's going to do something bad. Yep. This is the worst thing in the game. These cutscenes, which don't hurt you if you know how to do them, but they waste so much time. That's the easiest place to get it, just because it's very easy to not do enough damage. They're completely time-based as to when they'll happen. That was generally okay. These are also the hardest CQC phases, which is ironic because on Fury mode they're the easiest. But now you have to wait longer in these combos before you're able to hit them back. This is actually exactly the same as in Fury mode, except now these bullets are homing, and I think they do less damage to him. Oops. I had to move away from the wall because he has an attack here, which gives you pretty much no room to dodge if you're up against the wall. But he didn't end up doing it, so it doesn't matter. Now this last phase kind of terrifies me. A lot of these last phases I'm pretty used to, but this one can still mess me up just because there is so little room to breathe. Not only that, if you get hit by any of his attacks in this, your screen starts to go bad. Kind of like you're poisoned, because in-game you essentially poison him, and that's why he's like this. So now he has these very slow-moving waves, but slow is bad because it makes them hard to dodge. And it means that the screen is just filled with them. Luckily I shouldn't die here. And now the hand is another troll boss, because he has a very fun property where he does not like you shooting him unless you're standing at just the right angle.
Go back.
He's also quite unfriendly in terms of letting him you hit him.
Go back while you still can.
You can, however, shoot him freely when he's in the middle of attacks like that. Oop. That's the worst thing that can happen. He just gets so fed up at you and he shoots you back. And he runs back to you. It's very handy to perfect parry him here because he gives you very little time to shoot him otherwise. I'm just waiting for him to go back to the wall. He didn't get close enough. That's unfortunate. So now here's the one time you should be using these cutscene attacks because they do so much damage to the hand. And they're quick. So like, just with one of those things you can take out 2/3 of his health pretty much, as long as your sword's charged.
When good men look away, evil prevails.
This is a very slow and long attack. Just waiting for him to become vulnerable again. Doesn't matter, I'm taking damage. I'm only getting hit there because I'm trying to perfect parry him. Oops. Ah. That was really dumb. I'll admit that one thing I haven't really perfected in this game is learning the best way to do those parts of the hand fight. One thing I will try to do is... I'm trying to... Yeah, here we go. If you get him up... Oh, never mind. But if you get him at the right angle and the right distance away from the wall, you'll get him to lock into place, which is exceedingly helpful, because it means he doesn't have to do that laser attack, which keeps him invincible for a while. I don't think he lets you do it if you mess it up once though. Not that it matters, the fight's over. So I was just trying to get to that attack as quickly as possible. Now for the final phase, he makes most of the room possible to touch, and he sends a lot of lasers at you. That is unless you don't want him to send lasers, so you can just shoot back at him and cause him to do this instead, which gives you more time to shoot.
You can't win, stranger. You have nothing to protect. You can't win. You're alone.
And now he will try to hit me 17 times. And miss every time. Now here's the song, which is kind of a troll boss in her own right. She has so many different things she will do. And very difficult attacks to optimize. That's another good time to use these, because it's slow. I mean quick. Oops, well, she's going the other way. Fun fact, the game running the way it is, I literally cannot parry that attack of hers. Whereas if you're playing otherwise, you can actually get a perfect parry automatically. As long as you get the timing right. It's best to keep her on the edge of this map if you can, because you want to keep her at the edge for the close combat phase after this. Which means you have to do this quite efficiently, because it's almost like the game makers knew when they made this game. If you don't do this quick enough, she will run to the center almost exclusively to troll speedrunners. That was just me trying to parry those and messing up every single one of them. Oh, yeah, I just messed up. Yeah, it's quite annoying to do it with all those bullets around the way. So I'll just have to knock her down instead. There I was using those bullets so I could get enough damage in the combo, which is something I just made up then. Now here I have to shoot all these barriers down before I'm able to take the final shot of her. A big problem, however, is that these orange bullets, if they're close to your bullets, they will absorb them. So they just did once then. I also want to get as close to the center as possible because right at the end of this, I just skipped a cutscene. That only worked because I was able to get to her quick enough. There's a very small time barrier for that. Now here's possibly the hardest boss in terms of most likely for me to die on. The Burst. Who pretty much everyone who plays this game says she's the worst. I actually think she's my favourite boss. Although in Furier mode she's quite a hassle. Which is funny because this is one of the least changed bosses from Fury mode to Furier mode. So she has those drones you have to take out before you're able to move on. Oop. Yeah. Got too close to her. Generally... Oh, shit, she moved again. Ah! See, the thing is that she will shoot automatically if she detects that you're behind a barrier, but the hitbox is a tiny bit off, so if you're to the side of a barrier, she'll still do it and cause your death. And there's another funny thing that's different. Because in Fury mode, she only shoots one of those bullets. In Fury mode, she does two. And since it's so easy to parry, it makes this phase quicker in Fury mode. Which is rarely the case. Also, if you haven't noticed, I am blocking and it tells me exactly where she is on the map. Otherwise, you have to go searching for her, and it can lead you the wrong way. The main reason I find this to be really difficult in Furier mode is because her laser is much quicker. Not only do I not totally know the timing, but it leads to some quite difficult moments in the last phase. Much like in a lot of other phases, I'm just preemptively standing in the corner because I know I'll need her in the corner at the end of this phase. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that either. Or that, actually. I'm just going to get... Ah! Yeah. Once you lose focus, it messes up a lot. What I meant to say is that in a lot of these parts of this fight, she basically has 3 combos. A 1 combo, a 2 combo, and a 4 combo. What she chooses to do is completely random, but after she chooses, she will stick to that for the rest of that part of the fight. So once you've seen 2 attacks, you know what she's going to do. Now here's the bit I was afraid of. This is close to a minute of just a gauntlet of bullets, and she has her sniper ready to use. This is pretty tricky on its own right, but the main reason it scares me is because of what you saw earlier in this fight, where she just decided to snipe me even though it wasn't undercover yet. That happens a lot to me in this fight. I'm going to try my best to avoid it using a new trick I've developed, which is basically to stand right over here where no shield will only partially block you.
You are not taking it away from me.
So I'm intentionally taking a lot of damage. Just because it doesn't matter. Although now I'm sort of scared.
I can't fail. This is my game.
And now it's just a 1 and 2 combo, so I know she's going to do a 1 combo. Yeah. Now here's the shortest fight in the game, one that is almost half of it is just cutscenes. It's difficult to see the difference between this in Fury mode and Fury mode. Although they are there. So now here's half the fight, which is just this cutscene where he decides that fighting with a sword is passé, so we'll move on to a paddle. And now the fight goes two-dimensional. Fortunately, he gets even more predictable because of it. He has 2 different attacks to do in this phase, and he chose the worst one for me. I'm just gonna take it careful here because I'm low on health. Yeah, you want him to do that fire attack straight away because it's the fastest thing and you can very quickly kill him if you're planning it right. It's tricky, but it can be done quite quickly. This is the joke fight in the game. It makes sense story-wise. Funnily enough, it's quite difficult in some parts in Furier mode. Because these orange bullets in every other fight will do 1 damage. In this fight they do 2 damage and there's no real indication of it, so you'll find yourself running out of health quicker than you realise. You want to try to use fully charged shots against her, but again she has shock absorbing bullets there, which means you can only do it sparingly when you get the chance. It's even harder in this second phase because they're much more spread out. So I can do them, but I have to wait for them to get completely out of the way. And with all these things in the way, it gets increasingly difficult because there are just waves everywhere. Now this final thing is slightly amusing to me because to make this harder in Furier mode, they introduce these waves after the bullets. But most of the time when I play this, the waves never catch up to me in the first place, so I never have to dodge them. And now she gets completely desperate that she tries to cheat and use the gigantic laser, which somehow still misses me. After that, she's pretty much given up. And this is you just feeling like an arsehole for beating up this little girl, who is not even really fighting back.
You can't go out there. Don't you understand? You are real withers and dies.
Now this is where you'd think, oh, the star must be the next fight, except nope. We're going to the Flame now, who is one of the 2 DLC bosses. What I'm trying to do here is perfect parry him so I can get more damage out of him, but it didn't quite work. But just like most other bosses, you want to keep this guy to the edge of the map. I think more than any other boss in this game, perfect parries are the key to getting a good time on this fight. Also a bit of RNG because he has two attacks here, one requires a bit of effort, the other one is this where I just stand behind him and almost take out all of his health. I actually didn't want to hit him against the wall there because no matter where I have him standing, that attack he does is so slow that I can charge my sword up in time. This is the bad attack. You can actually parry these, but I didn't get in position for it. Oops. I'm just gonna let me charge up. Now the arena gets smaller, which is actually a problem for not the obvious reason of it being hard to dodge things, but because as soon as the close combat phases start, the arena gets big again, which makes it much more difficult to get him at the edge of the map. There are two different ways you can go about this. Which one I choose to do depends on how this fight goes. But once again, perfect parrying is the key here. I do it as much as possible so I can get him vulnerable as much as possible. And there I got it. You had to get him to be standing right in the corner and shoot him right away in that direction. Oops. For him to still think he's in the corner, otherwise he will try to just attack you straight away. It's quite difficult to pull off, and if you don't have it set up right, your best bet is just to try to knock him down again. You don't want him to have to do that attack because he's invincible for part of it and you have to dodge for part of it. That's pretty bad for me. Just got it. I'm going to knock him down here just because it's easier. A lot of his attacks get quite difficult if he's too close to the edge because those range of freedom attacks don't give you much leg room. Now this is a phase I have never truly optimized, just because it's so random how it goes about. Technically speaking, the more, like, the bigger attacks in this fight are more optimum, but they're also harder to pull off naturally. So now I should be careful because I am one hit away from dying. Although this is an entirely scripted section, I still sometimes mess up because it's kind of confusing. Should be good now. This last attack is one of the few attacks in the game that does 3 damage. And now, we go back to our regularly scheduled program and go to what is the actual final boss in the game, the Star, where you rebel against your leaders and take over or save the planet or whatever. Most of this fight is about finding safe zones, which are mostly in the corner of the arena, where you can just shoot freely without having to worry about getting hit by things.
We have always been here for you. Why all this?
This next phase is slightly different because you can't stand in the corner, you have to stand slightly out away from the corner. You want these drones to move towards you because if you do it right, you can take them out and never have to worry about their attacks for the rest of the phase.
from you? They will have no idea of what you did. They don't even know.
Now,
you
because I got
exist.
lucky, I don't really understand it at all. I'm actually shooting both these hands at the same time, which naturally doubles your damage output.
They said you corrupted their world, but they corrupted you.
If you're having trouble with those lasers when you play it,
For them,
that's a
you
good
were
path to
only
take.
A stranger, a danger.
Now here's the second major skip in this game, where you pretty much bypass one of the hardest phases of all, because for some reason when you shoot these hands at point blank range, it thinks you're damaging it every frame.
I have never seen in any of us. Selfishness,
And bang,
arrogance.
it's done.
Will you destroy us to
Now
save
here's
this
the
world
longest
that is
phase
yours?
in the entire game,
I am
and it's
disappointed.
basically an auto-scroller. You're waiting 2.5 minutes before you're able to fight back. In Fury mode, this phase is just an obstacle to sit through. In Fury mode, it gets quite difficult at times. Like, I genuinely am not always convinced I'll make it through alive. This phase isn't so bad. This next phase is the biggest problem. Because now these bullets that she was just shooting directly at you in Fury mode are homing. If you get a good rhythm, you're generally okay, but I very rarely don't get hit at least once. Yeah.
You are a traitor.
Now she has a giant laser, but otherwise this is very unchanged from on Fury mode, just that some of the bullets are red, which means you have to shoot them twice to take them out.
You leave us no choice, Ryder.
And now for one last attack, you just basically have to create your own path through these bullets, which sometimes are red, and wait until she becomes vulnerable about 30 seconds from now. If I was on like only 2 health, I'd be a bit worried, but since I've got plenty of health, it's not an issue. The most important thing is trying to get in position as quickly as possible to finish her off. Which I sort of messed up because I got hit. And now, the main event of this entire thing is Bernard, which is another DLC boss, which is pretty much the fighting wireframe that they designed for when they were testing out fights. Incidentally, because of this, he pretty much inhabits every single boss you've seen, except maybe the star, in at least some way. So this phase was pretty much just doing stuff the chain does. Now he moves on to the strap. This is actually the easiest phase in the fight, just because he does not have any super difficult attacks. Or at least, in terms of speedrunning, he won't ruin your run. Now we go to the line, which is quite a taxing fight. He likes to teleport around a lot, but you have to be very quick about doing as much damage to him as possible. There's sort of an artificial time limit to this fight, because if you don't finish him off quickly enough, he will much like the song before, teleport to the center like a troll. So I'm just trying to do as much damage as possible as quickly as possible. I am not totally sure I got it. Yeah, I just missed it, so now he's going to teleport to the middle and do this attack. Fortunately, I can hit him during it. It's difficult. Because if he teleports to the center and I'm doing a speedrun, it's pretty much reset. Now here's the scale phase, which is a bit of a weird phase. Mainly, he has a habit of being very weird with his movement. I got lucky there. I also just forgot what I was doing. I'm going to try to hit him up when I finish him off, because this next phase gets very difficult if he is fighting below you. It might just be from me, but I find it is very difficult to dodge certain attacks from above rather than below. This one in particular. I almost actually did something very rare in this fight, which is beat him before he runs to the middle. Unlike the scale, it is very, the line, it is very difficult to do it faster than that. Most of the time RNG doesn't ever allow it. Now here's my personal least favourite phase of the fight, the song. For one good reason, which may or may not surface itself here. It did not. That is pretty much RNG, but it's possible that right at that part of the fight, she will run to the teleport to the middle and do a 20-second attack, during which you cannot harm him, and you are just waiting for that attack to end. However, as much as I hated the song, the burst is exactly the same. I may have gotten lucky, I'm not sure yet. Yep. So I avoided the terrible attacks. This is the hardest CQC in the game, because it's pretty much frame perfect to dodge these. No matter which combo he does, it is pretty much frame perfect. Now, unlike before, he actually combines the beat and the edge into one phase. I'm not trying to do it right now because it's too hard to focus, but you can also land charge shots here to do quicker damage. It's very important to knock him down here too, because one quick hit, like with a charge shot, will pretty much finish him off, but not quite. And that is where the difficulty ends in terms of speedrunning, because this is another auto-scroller like the Star. It's slightly shorter, but it's the same business. He is just going all out with so many different attacks, which is always the same. He's just like, have you had enough wave attacks yet? He has 16 more. just like the scale, these create quite annoying attacks unless you parry them. It doesn't actually save time, I don't think, but it's fun because it's pretty much the only thing you get to do in this part. Coming close to the end now. Here's the lost attack, which is that skippable, no, that 20-second attack I mentioned in the song phase. So if you're just unlucky, he'll just do this attack. Now I'm just waiting for him to become vulnerable, which is right after this wave. Now. And that is Fury in Furier mode. That's a reasonable time considering I died twice too.